The time has come for the Galarian Stunfisk PvP IV deep dive. Basically, this Pokemon has been #1 in the Great League and has been a really powerful contender in the Ultra League, basically ever since it came out. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. We're getting Toxapex in the Great League soon, which is a big, scary poison type Pokemon. And wouldn't you guess it, Galar Stunfisk is one of the better answers to it. So, Galar Stunfisk, one of the best right now, probably one of the best forever. So, what are the best PvP IVs for Galar Stunfisk? What are the important stat checks? Well, I hope to address all of that in full and more in this video here, the Galar Stunfisk PvP IV deep dive. Now, if you haven't seen this deep dive series before and you're not too familiar with the hidden true stats of Pokemon and Pokemon Go and how they interact in battle, I highly recommend checking out my PvP IVs simplified video, link up above and in the description. Basically, get your feet wet before you dive off into the deep end here. And then I'll also be featuring PvP IV tables to kind of help guide you along in this process. And you can find those tables linked on my article on GamePress, the Galar Stunfisk PvP IV deep dive, which is linked in the description. On top of that, I'm going to be throwing a lot of numbers at you in this video too, and you can reference all those numbers in a text-based format, easy squeezy, in my article on GamePress, the Galar Stunfisk PvP IV deep dive, once again, linked in the description. And without further ado, let's get into Stunfisk here. So to start out, there's two different ways to approach the Galar Stunfisk situation. Way number one is to go for super high bulk, and then way number two is to focus more on the mirror match. So way number one here is highlighted here, using a minimum bulk check of 124.75 defense and 174 HP, which gives us about 79 different results. Now, one thing to highlight with these results is that if you do go below 127 defense, then the HP check of 174 becomes a little bit more flaky, and you'll want to focus on the IV spreads that have 175. So if you've got a high bulk Galar Stunfisk that isn't meeting that exact standard there, then you may want to start keeping your eyes peeled for a, superior Galar Stunfisk. The best ones on this list by far are going to be the rank 1, 2, and 3. And the reason why I prefer these over the attack weights, even though the slight attack weights could get CMP in the mirror, which could be very helpful, is that a lot of the mirror matches end on the fast move if you're not getting the attack breakpoint on your opposing Galar Stunfisk there. So even if you are getting CMP, you could end up losing the war per se, because they'll be able to fast move farm you down and then survive with just 1 or 2 HP, where your lower HP might not be able to keep up with it. So the rank 1, 2, and 3 definitely stand above the rest. Which one is better between the three? That one's a little bit hard to say. I'd say higher defense definitely appeals to me because there are a lot of Pokemon that will be chasing that 127 defense of the rank 1, but might not have enough attack for the, rank 2's 0.7 higher defense, or the rank 3's astronomically higher defense. So I favor the defense weights a little bit more for that reason, but all three of these are fantastic. Now, when it comes to the 124.75 minimum defense, that's going to be based off of the attack breakpoint of a 99.9 attack Galar Stunfisk. It could be a bit more reasonable. It could be a little bit safer to go for a 125.9 defense instead, because that would cover the attack weight of a 100.8 Galar Stunfisk. So you are prepared for basically all of the high bulk iterations. And you can alter this table down here and put in 125.9, and then bam, you can see that our 79 options are now cut down to 41, but I'd say these 41 are going to be a lot more useful than the other ones because you'll be protected against a wider range of Galar Stunfisk. So to illustrate what's going on in the mirror, I got the PV Poke simulation up here. You can see I got 2 rank 1s, and then you can see that this fight ends on the fast move. And you can see that these guys are tying, and in the majority of these situations, it's because the fight is ending on the fast move. So if you were to use an IV spread that has a bit of an attack weight, right? Oh gosh, that's not an attack weight, that's the opposite. So you got an IV spread that has a little bit of an attack weight, you could get CMP in the mirror, right? Could that tip the scales? And no, it doesn't really appear like it. I mean, you are getting CMP, but bam, that fight is still ending on the fast move. And you can see here that 175 HP is coming into play. Our defense is now less than 127. So if you had greater than 127 defense, you could get away with 174 HP and have this same mirror tie situation play out. Now, where the breakpoint comes in is if you have 101.79 or higher attack. And most of these Galar Stunfisk are going to end up having 102 attack, but I digress, right? If you have that attack breakpoint, now all your mud shots are going to be doing 1 extra damage, and this fight still ends. Did I click the right one? Oh, I didn't click the one where it saves me from the breakpoint, so uh-oh. Yeah, I guess this is a good example. We are getting the breakpoint, but now our defense went below the 124.75, so they also get the breakpoint on us. So then this fight ends in a fast move tie, right? Where if you go for the one that has a defense weight, so now you have both the attack breakpoint and you have the defense breakpoint for the mirror match. Now you can see that in all the even Steven scenarios, we are now dominating the mirror matchup, and you even have potential to beat the mirror without a shield, and they're spending 1 shield if the bait situation goes in your favor, but of course, you're not quite making it. So the attack breakpoint for the Galar Stunfisk mirror matchup can be quite a big deal. But to meet that, you will have to start dropping your bulk. And then you can see here this is 125.6 defense. So you'll want to have even higher defense to protect yourself from even wider varieties of Galar Stunfisk, which will drop your HP even further, which could hurt your viability in some matchups. So I'd say overall, the bread and butter for Galar Stunfisk is to not worry so much about the mirror, worry about being the rank 1, 2, or 3, right? And then if you can't make that, then maybe start thinking about the mirror match a little bit more. To highlight some other things to know about the defense weights of a Galar Stunfisk and kind of why I really prefer having really high defense Galar Stunfisk is, so at the bare minimum, you have the rank 1 mirror matchup, which is the 124.75, ideally pumping that up to like 125.9 to protect yourself against even more Galar Stunfisk. If you want to really protect yourself in the mirror, most of the better mirror Galar Stunfisks aren't going to have more than 102 attack, so 127.34 should fortify you against the majority of, mirror focused Galar Stunfisk there. So if you think about that, that's the rank 2 and the rank 3, not so much the rank 1. The rank 1 does have that higher HP though, so that could be helpful in some specific matchups. Now, if you want to dodge the mirror even more, 127.88 will also cover the 102.4 attack Galar Stunfisks, and mirror slaying Galar Stunfisks aren't going to have higher attack than that. If they do, then they're going to have too low of a defense stat, and you're probably going to get the breakpoint right back at them. So are they really getting a benefit there, right? So 127.8 as a maximum, which is covered by the rank 3. I don't think the rank 2 covers that. Now, higher defense weights also help you against Noctowl. The rank 1 Noctowl can get an attack breakpoint at you if you have less than 126.9 defense, which can flip the 0-1 and 1-2 shield disadvantage scenarios. So this flying Pokemon could beat you if you, don't spend a shield, which is kind of awkward, right? And Noctowls that are focused on getting this attack breakpoint for the Azumarill, you're going to want to have at least 128.22 or higher defense there. If you want more information about Noctowls, attack weights, and stuff like that, definitely check out my Noctowl PvP IV deep dive. Link up above and the description to that so you can get all learned up on what's going on with that nasty owl there. Now, if you have an even higher defense weight of 128.8, that can protect you against Cofagrigus in the 2-2 shield scenario and Watergun Lantern in the 1-1 shield scenario if you don't bait a Rock Slide. Now, there is always a chance that these Pokemon will have higher attack weights, so chasing for these extra high defense weights to fortify yourself in these matchups, it might not really pay off for you, but I think it's worth highlighting there, especially when you're going for like 128 to begin with to try to avoid Noctowl and the mirror match up and stuff like that. So just a couple extra reasons to think about that high defense weight. Then when it comes to the HP side of the force, having 174 to 175 HP is the recommendation, not just for the mirror tie scenario, but it also helps out against the Lickitung 0-1, the Medicham 1-0, the Trevenant 1-1 no bait scenario, and then the Umbreon and Mandibuzz 1-2 shield scenarios. Now, given that the defense check is kind of hard locked at 124.75, realistically 125.9 defense, if you have to give up on any stat, give up on the HP, because the moment an opposing Galar Stunfisk gets the attack breakpoint on you, all bets are off, right? Your Galar Stunfisk is like dead in the water, not a good Galar Stunfisk. You really do want to have that higher defense weight. As you're thrifting down though, keep 172 roughly HP in mind. Once you drop below that, then you could lose the Azumarill 2 shield scenario and the Altaria 1-2 shield scenario, which can be a little bit awkward. But, you know, if you really do have to make the cut and the decision is lowering your defense or your HP, and, you know, if the HP is going to be less than 125.9, I'd probably cut the HP personally. Now, if you're looking at all your IVs and you're seeing that none of them really are hitting the mark all that great, your HP just ain't having it, you don't have the rank 1 or 2 or 3, John Hankey, can we get some IV fixing items, please? Well, you could just cope with being less than the best, or you could turn towards the dark side of the Galar Stunfisk and focus on the mirror match. Here I have a PvP IV list showcasing the 19 Mirror Slayer Galar Stunfisks using 127.34 as a minimum defense check here that will protect you against opposing 102.03 attack Galar Stunfisks. Of course, if you want to be even more fortified, you're going to want to go for the 127.88 defense Galar Stunfisks. That will protect you against the 102.4 defense attack weight Galar Stunfisks. So basically everything except for these two guys here, right? Just to fortify yourself even more in your quest to dominate the mirror matchup. So once again, you're going to be favoring that defense stat. Don't worry about the HP. I checked all these different HP ranges against the matrix simulation, and I'd say it doesn't really matter for the most part. Once you drop below like 172 HP, all bets are off for worrying about your bulk. So I'd just focus on your defense stat and then also have a little bit of a nod to your attack stat there. But I'd say all these IV spreads are pretty fantastic. Another cool thing to note about the attack weight is that if you do start to have that higher bit of an attack weight there, like you're pushing like, you know, 102-ish attack, then you can get a breakpoint on Registeals that have 190 defense. So that is a trade-weighted Registeel. And that also happens to be the defense weight that I recommend in my Registeel PvP IV deep dive. Link up above and in the description, because a lot of Pokemon that can get an attack breakpoint on Registeel don't really chase that high on it. Well, if you're going for the Mirror Slayer here, then there's a high chance that you're going to be getting that breakpoint as well. It's not the biggest deal for the Registeel matchup, but sometimes when you're stuck in that situation, every little extra bit of damage can help, and it can put Registeel in some scenarios where you could KO it on the rock slide instead of having to work your way all the way up to an extra earthquake, which can be pretty helpful, and it can also enable some extra farming scenarios. So I really do like the attack weight Galar Stunfisk. I do prefer the bulk weight in the current state of the game, but if you don't have like the rank 1, 2, or 3, then I'd say going for these attack weight ones, the Mirror Slayers, could be the best bet. And then if you don't have any of these guys, then look at the other bulk range for Galar Stunfisk there. Then I also wanted to highlight the rank 117 in particular. It kind of hits this Goldilocks range for stats on Galar Stunfisk with the 102 attack and 125.6 defense, which can be helpful, and that ever so slight 172 HP stat. It's kind of like this little bit of a Goldilocks zone. I wouldn't say that this IV spread is superior to any of the other like Galar Stunfisk Slayer builds. In fact, it can be weaker because you are going to have that lower defense stat going on. But I think it's neat. I think it's worth highlighting if you have it. The other three that also fall into this like kind of Goldilocks range, I noticed that their defense doesn't keep up with ever so slight attack weights on Azumarill and on the Altaria, which can be awkward, where the rank 117 is kind of doing it best. So all four are featured here, but I think the 117 is the only one really worth thinking about. And then after this guy, then you can think about the lesser bulk weight ones. Shifting gears here now to the Ultra League. Ultra League Galar Stunfisk, best buddied, XL'd out, level 51, only hits 2,474 CP, which means that you want to have the hundo, right? Now, if you don't have the hundo, how low can you go on the IVs before it becomes a problem? Well, the attack IV can probably be dumped. Aside from having charge move priority, anything less than 15 but greater than 12 doesn't really seem to affect anything in a major way. So having more is helpful, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as the defense and the HP are concerned, right? When it comes to the defense, having the 15 defense IV can help you against the rank 1 Cavalier in particular. And then I feel like you are going to want to have higher than 12 defense, so at least 13 defense to protect yourself against the Deoxys defense form. Of course, if they're following the Deoxys defense form PvP IV deep dive, well, then they're going to have an attack weighted one anyways, so your ass is kind of grass there, right? But not everybody does follow the deep dive. They go for their high bulk ones that just happen to not be the rank 1. So every little bit of higher defense IV you have could help you be a little bit more fortified against the Deoxys defense forms. And then when it comes to the HP IV, like, I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell, especially since this isn't the Master League where everything is all even Steven, right? Your opponents are going to have like a range of, attack and defense weights. So it's really hard to drop a pin on where you're going to want to have the HP. But I'd say more so than anything else, Galar Stunfisk is operating on bulk. It doesn't care about its attack that much, so try to have a pretty high HP IV, at least 14 if you can help it. And if you don't have at least like the, 12, 13, 14 or something like that, then keep holding out, right? Because why drop all that XL candy? Why best buddy this Pokemon? Go through all that effort just to be slightly less than what you could have been if you held out a little bit longer and got the hundo or something closer to the hundo, right? So just a word of caution when it comes to Ultra League Galar Stunfisk. So that's all I got to say right now about the Galar Stunfisk. Let me know in the comments which one you prefer, the high bulk, the Mirror Slayer. Which one do you actually have? Or are you cursed like me and just have a straight up bad Galar Stunfisk, right? Man. At any rate, if you got any questions on this content, comment below. Let me know what's up, and I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content and you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd also like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description. In fact, you could turn the plot. In fact, you could, scar the stars for all that they promised you. And you could even go as far as to, tear at the heavens, destroy everything. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about.